Hi folks, Wausau Sheath. So this is going to be kind of a goofy beginning because I didn't take care of business when I started shooting. We're building a knife sheath for this, exotic inlay knife sheath for this. And folks, if you get anything out of this video at all, please take the time to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I'm trying to grow it here. I'm really trying hard here. It takes a lot of time to film these things, and the only thing I really get out of it is more subscribers, but it lets me know that I'm doing something right. But if you guys would, just hit that like and subscribe button right now before you forget, and enjoy the video. Hey folks, Wausau Sheath. If you're new to the channel and you don't know what Wausau Sheath means, it means how are you in Tlingit. My wife is Alaska Native, and she speaks a lot of Tlingit, but she's learning to speak it fluently, and I've been trying to learn a few things along with her. So when you hear some of that stuff, it's all Tlingit, and I might be butchering it with my accent, but because it's supposed to have a little bit of, it has a different sound when you're listening to them speak it, but I do my best. Anyways, so we're in the leather shop today, and we're going to make a knife sheath. I've already made a pattern here. I get a lot of knives in the shop that people send me. If you have a fixed bladed knife, I can make that just off measurements, but I will not make a fixed bladed knife sheath without having the knife on hand. I just don't. If you don't have it on hand, it's really difficult to get it right. It's just more or less a generic type sheath like this one is, which there's nothing actually really wrong with this sheath. But let me zoom you in here. You don't need to see me. So there's not really anything wrong with this sheath. It's just a blow-in production sheath is all it is. So they're just not that great. But anyways, it is an absolutely gorgeous Damascus knife here, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. I get some really nice knives in here in the shop, and this thing is so doggone razor sharp, it's unbelievable. It still has oil all over it. But what I did on this, so there's different ways you can do this. You can lay it on here, trace the knife out, and roll it over like this. And so, you know, put a line so you stay on the line, and then roll it over, trace around this side, trace around this side, and then there's kind of a formula that you can give yourself so much on the edge, which makes up for, because when you're wrapping it, if you make a pattern like this is going to be, and you make it tight on this, then it's going to be different than when you put the leather on, because the leather that we're going to use is going to be a total of about 8 ounces, and that extra thickness you need to have some extra width to make up for that thickness going around whatever it is you're wrapping, whether or not it's a knife or something else. But this one, this sheath's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It fits it pretty well. I just when I made this one, I laid it on there with the sheath itself and did the same thing and wrapped it around, and that'll get us much closer. If I was making a totally different style, then obviously we couldn't do that. But when one comes in like this, sometimes I'll do the same rolling thing, but I'll just do it with the sheath itself that comes with it, if I like the sheath. But anyways, we already have one here, and this sheath is going to have exotic inlay, and it is going to be like this, and there's going to be a retention strap that comes around like this, and it'll have a belt loop on the back. I'll show you guys how to do that too. And I got this blue thing on here to try to keep me where I need to be when I'm zoomed in. So anyways, we may not always stay that zoomed in, but we're going to go ahead and make this sheath. My back's going to be a little bit higher than the front. Yeah. And we're just letting this run wild here. That's all we're doing with it. We're just letting this run wild. This is a 7/8 wide strap. It's going to have a button or snap and all that kind of stuff on it. So let's get some leather here. I'm going to zoom you out just a little bit. You guys can see all this paint back here on my bench. My granddaughters come in here and they they paint. So first thing when they get here is they go, "Pop up, I want to go paint." So they love coming in here and painting pictures and stuff. I'll show you one. Okay, yeah, so they come in here and they make paintings like this. And I've taken these and I've put these in a shadow box kind of frame and sent them out to their great grandmother, and I think their mother has, yeah, the mother has one too, and it's or their other grandmother has, that's what I meant, their other grandmother and their great grandmother. I've sent a few of these out in frames so that they can have them, just little things that grandkids make with my scrap leather. All right, so grandkids is one of my favorite subjects, so don't get me started on that. Grandkids and leather and flint napping, that's pretty much my life. So, all right, so we got some buffalo here, and we're going to make it out of this. And yep, that's what we're going to do. Find the best place to cut this out of where it's not gonna, I guess down in here it's probably gonna be the best spot. Trying to make the most use of the leather here, you know what I mean? Which looks like it's probably gonna be right here. And this doesn't have to run quite so, you don't have to run quite that far, but I do that a lot. I just run it out there. We're going to take our stylus. This stylus was made by Ed LeBaire. I've actually got a couple of his. This one's got a little spoon type thing on the end, and then it's got the ball on the other end. I don't use a spoon much, but I have used it. And it's not really a spoon, it's more of a, I don't know if you guys can even see that, probably not, but it's kind of just a wide pointy thing. But it does have some uses, I just don't use it much. Okay, that's going to mark our piece. And we're going to cut that out. We are going to punch some of these, and the reason that I like to punch like these, I didn't mark that one spot. The reason I like to punch these is because it gives a nice rounded look to it that I can't get with a knife. I'm going to try and stop the camera a little bit when I'm doing my walking away so that the video is not quite so long and more to the point. You guys don't need to watch me digging around for things. Got off my line. I was noticing when I reviewed the video for that rifle sling I made, I could barely see the line on the project, but it showed up perfect on the camera. So I don't know what the deal was with that. So I'm assuming you guys can see the lines on this also. Got a lot of good feedback on that leather video, and you're going to continue on with adding more and more leather to it, to the channel. So going to do just a little minor test fit here. Just rough tuck. wrap around like that right there. That's how it's going to be. Plenty of room for our piece in here. So, all right, I'm going to go split this. And then I had this too tight and I actually cut the sheath a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to split this down. So I'm going to go split this. I guess I'll move the camera. This thing's really difficult to set up. Move you back over there. All right, so we're going to split this down, and I need to run a test piece because I always do that. I think I'm set about where I need to be. I got a general idea where this needs to be for this particular leather because I worked with a lot of this type leather in a bunch of different colors. So that's a little thick. That should be perfect. Let's see, toss that down there. Okay, I got my trusty EDC leather gauge here. You guys can see that. George and the boys over there are pretty good eggs. We got about 4 ounce, so you can see that it's 4 ounce. Won't fit in a 3 unless you force it. So it's about 3.5 to 4 ounce, something like that. Anyways, these gauges are great, and that's their website if you want to order you one of these. All right, we're gonna run our piece through. Make sure it's not rolling up in the back. All right, that's it. Move you back over. You can see that, and it actually split a little bit thinner, and I'm okay with that because, yeah, we're in 3 ounce area there, and that's fine. This is basically just the fancy on the outside is what it is. It's going to be lined with a veg tan leather. So, all right, I'll move you back over. Okay, so we need to figure out where we are going to put. Let's put this over here so this shows up better. Got to figure out where our inlay is going. So this is our front of our sheath right here. So we know that when this folds over, we don't want it over here on the edge. So we're going to put it somewhere along in here. So that's going to be somewhere along there. I just mark it with my finger now, really. And we'll take this, and we got some temporary lines there. We're going to draw a very faint line. It might be too faint. All right. Now, I want at a minimum 3/8 of an inch around like this here. At a minimum. But we have to also account for, so this would be our window in here, but we have to account for the strap coming over, which is going to clip somewhere right in here. So it really won't matter. We can still do that right through the snake skin. So I think we will do that. I think we're just going to leave that way. But this will allow plenty of room on the edge to sand your edges back and get a stitch in there. I actually want to widen that just a little bit. Okay, so we'll cut out our window. every one of these is one off when these come in like this. So, and when they do, you got to charge some extra money for them because there's a lot of time wrapped up in them. Some of these sheaths can cost as much as the custom knife itself. Okay, now he wants rattlesnake in this. Find a good piece of snake here. That's a beautiful piece of snake, actually. Just absolutely gorgeous. I think we're going to have to move that down some. And we're just going to drop it down here. It'd be easier to line everything up and get it where it looks good. Put this in there. Kind of help it hold its shape. I wasn't talking very loud. Hopefully I wasn't mumbling and you guys can't hear me. I tend to do that sometimes. This customer is in the military. And he's got rattlesnake, a whole bunch of rattlesnake stuff. I can't remember what all, but it seems like it was a belt and holster, I think. Maybe. I don't remember for sure. But he's been a regular customer and a heck of a nice guy. So if you're watching this, and I think he's probably going to, I told him I was going to try and film this. You know who you are. Alright, so we're going to get our trusty rattlesnake descaling tool here. All this is a stylist, that's all it is. Let me zoom you in a little bit more. Yeah, all it is just a stylist with a modeling spoon, I mean. I showed on the last video, I've got this thing warped, the whole side of the metals wore off at an angle like this from doing this exact thing, going around the edges of these. Because anytime you're doing something like this, I like to leave the scale, well, it depends on the customer, but a lot of times I like to leave these outer scales on. Most people will take those off. I like to leave them on when possible, and then seal them so they hold. And you can still knock them off, but leaving them on, you do get a more refined, pattern, or more. It's got some texture to it, I guess. Is what I'm trying to say. Now I had a piece of cardboard that I was using here because I'm gonna glue this up, and we're gonna do it all here at this bench like we did last time. So, I'm gonna pause you for a second to get that cardboard. Okay, we're back with our piece of cardboard so we don't get stuff all over my cutting table. And all we're gonna do is flip this over. I cleaned this glue pot up the other day. Actually, you know what? I gotta put some glue in this thing. I emptied it. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. I just realized that I'm down to my last 2 gallons of glue, so I need to get that ordered right away. I was making flint napping lap pads. I make some leather flint napping lap pads. Some of them are just leather, and then others have padding on them. I make quite a few different ones. There's not a real big flint napping lap pad business out there, as you can imagine. I do sell them, but not a million of them, though. A lot more people that carry. Your big selling items are always going to be your everyday use items. Belts, wallets, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so all right, so this is, we gotta let this set up, so I'm gonna let this dry a little while, and then we'll stick it down and go to the next step. Okay, the glue's not really tacked up enough, but we're gonna glue it anyways. I got a lot of work to do in the shop, and I got glue everywhere. When that dries, I'll have to peel that off there. I don't know what I stuck it to get glue on that, but I did. Just rubbing some of that glue off that I got on there. Okay, the next step after this is I've got to I got to stitch around this before I put the lining leather on it. So we're going to look something like that, but prettier when we're done, I hope. All right, so I'm going to take you over to the other sewing machine, and we're going to run a stitch line around this. I'll be right back. Okay, you'll have to forgive the mess over here. This thing, I keep just big enough space for, there's all my, a bunch of knives. I keep these for sizing and doing all kinds of stuff. I got a lot of them up here. So, all kinds of different knives. But anyways, now this is one of them Buck 110 autos. Most dangerous knife in the world. You don't want to put this in your pocket, because that button is easy to push, and it'll open up halfway in your pocket like that, and you got to put your hand in your pocket and hit that, and dude, those things are sharp. My son done that one day and got them really good. There's a custom knife I got from a trade, been sitting up here forever. Pretty neat little knife. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, I think you can. Anyways, yeah, pretty neat. Ain't very good lighting over here either, just the light coming through the window. I do have this light right here, but it's not great. Anyways, we're just going to zip around this thing. If I quit talking and getting sidetracked, we'd be able to wrap this video up in no time. I'm just walking that foot right on the edge there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's walking right. This foot's walking right along. You know what? I forgot that I switched that thread out, actually. I'd normally zip on around this thing, but I don't want to blow it up on film. So. Right back over my stitches, back up a few. And that's it. Snip those off. Okay, I'm going to move you back over to the other spot. Okay, hopefully I got it set back up. What I got here, we're going to glue our liner on now. So this was about 2.5 ounce, somewhere in there. And I got to zoom in here or something. I'm not sure I got my, no, I don't think I got my camera back where it needs to be. I do not. Hold on just a second. Okay, so as I was saying, we've got, this is about 3 ounce. I'm going to line this with this is about a 5 ounce, might be even a 6 ounce. Yep, 6 ounce. So we're going to be about 8.5 ounces when we're done, somewhere in there. And all I'm going to do is just going to glue this up on here. I glue it right to this, just seems to be easier. I got pieces for this that's, oh, my pin fell apart. My trusty bullet pin with antler, my wife got me. Alright, let's flip that over, and then we're just going to glue these pieces up. Same procedure as I've mentioned, but this is just contact cement. I mentioned before in videos that, and I know a lot of you probably didn't see the other one or whatever, so I'll say it again here, but I use both Weldwood and Masters. Master, I like both. Masters does dry faster, but it is more expensive. But because it dries faster, I tend to use it because, well, it dries faster. And I can be more productive. So the extra cost is offset with the fact that it speeds production. You can get that from any leather supplier. All right, I'm gonna pause here, and then we're gonna let this dry. I may put 2 coats on it, I may not. We'll just see how it is. A lot of times when you're gluing something like this, that glue will soak into the leather and almost go away. So sometimes it does require 2 coats. Weld wood more often than not does, but a lot of times with masters you can get away with just 1 coat. But I do like to use 2 coats. That's one of my things I like to do. I just like that extra insurance. So I'll pause this and we'll come back. Okay, so we're dry enough now. Just gonna stick this down on there. Still got some of that glue that I got up on the outside. It'll come off though. It won't stay there. Okay. Now we're gonna cut this dude out. I don't know what I did to that knife, but that blade's pretty dull. This one don't feel all that much sharper. I thought that I had stropped that before I started, but maybe I didn't. You know what, I messed this up actually. I've got to leave that unglued. Or do I need to? No, I don't need to. Alright. So a lot of times what I'll do to this once I got it cut out, get this out of the way. Once I got it cut out, then I will take my glass slicker. This is just a leather sleeve I built, I don't even know how, 14, 15 years ago, something like that. Built this sleeve for it. Anyways, and I will use this to smash the piece down and make sure it's got good contact. And sometimes I smack it with a hammer. You guys see me do that. But anyways, we're going to smack that down like that. And then, okay, so we got some 9-ounce, should be 9-ounce Herman oak here. Use our leather gauge here. And it is 9-ounce. If it's in a 9, it won't fit in an 8, I'm sure. Nope. So that's about what we want. You can actually double this if you wanted to. Depends on the sheath you're making. But this is going to be your welt. So that knife blade runs along this. So you want this to be pretty good stiff leather. And all we're going to do to get our welt is lay our sheath on there like this. And we're going to test fit this. We'll cut it a little big, and then we're going to test fit it and cut it to size. I mean, obviously our welt's not going to be this big, but that's just to dropping helped a lot. Okay. There's our piece. I already know we're going to have to trim it a lot, so. There is mathematical formulas for all this stuff. Just kind of get a look here how it's gonna look. Then we'll trim that welt down. I just couldn't help myself. I wanted to see what it was going to look like. You know what? We got one more thing we got to do too. We can't attach this yet. We got to put the belt loop on the back. And this is going to trim down a little bit, so we're looking pretty good though. The knife obviously won't fit in there because it's going to hit on the deal there. Yeah, this part's fine. This part's going to have to trim out. So you just kind of, and you can lay this all out on paper if that's what you want to do. Anyone that's making you a fixed bladed sheath that without having a knife on hand, you can guarantee it's not going to be really fit for the knife. It might be somewhat close, but all right, that's going to slide in there like that. That's going to come across like that. We'll be putting a snap right around in there somewhere. Yep, perfect, beautiful. All right. That's going to work just fine. that's where that's going to go. All right, so now we're going to cut our belt loop. Our belt loop is going to be 1.5 inches. And we'll just cut it off a piece of this. Actually, we're not cutting it off that. I don't know what I'm thinking about getting that. We got to have some more of that buffalo. Hold on a second. All right, sorry about all that. I wasn't really prepared. So I'm just going to use my strap cutter here. Set it at 1.5 inches. That's what we're going to use. Just cut that strip off there. When you're using these strap cutters, you're just placing this firmly against the side. You want to make sure it just runs right down the side there. And keep it pressed against there real tight. Sometimes I put it against my body like this or on the edge of a table like this, but you want to keep this piece flush against here and it'll run right through there. Alright, so this is going to fold over like this. And it is going to be right back here just like this. That's how this is going to run. So let me get another punch. We're going to make this end rounded. We'll just cut it to whatever length that we need it. But the very first thing we're going to do is sew this like this. Now you got to leave room for your sewing on here. If you're hand stitching, it's not that big a deal. But got to leave room for the sewing machine to get by there. And we'll cut this off to the length that we want so to fit through about a 3/4 inch belt, something like that, up to that 1/2 inch to 3/4. So, but we want our loop right about there, and we will mark it so we know where it goes. Okay. I'm going to go over the sewing machine. I'm not going to show this part sewing this. I'll just sew it and I'll come back because I am going to show the sewing on the edge later. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I forgot a step and caught it before I finished it, so that's perfect. These edges have to be finished. Obviously has to be finished first because you won't be able to do it once it's attached. So my bad. This is a close radius beveler, Berry King. I've said before, you're going to spend some money on tools. Make sure you buy a decent beveler. I use this close radius a lot. I also use a standard a lot. And this is just water. Plain old dirty water. It's pretty dirty at the moment. I get the leather pieces in there and it don't look so hot. So this is a single layer piece and it was cut with a knife. There's really no need to run it over a sander. Not trying to blend two pieces or anything like that. I am going to go put a little bit of dye on this, and then we'll come back and actually I'll do it right here. Hold on. So this is just black dye. Do all my edges the same, just a black dye. Got a dauber here, and just run that along the edge. In this shop you can have any edge color you want as long as it's natural or black. Okay, so we're going to let that dry a minute and then we'll finish the edge on it, then I'll sew it. Glad I didn't forget that. Be right back. Alright, it's dry enough, so the next step, which you're going to see all this in the edge finishing, but the next step is to put some glycerin, saddle soap on there. Not all glycerin saddle soaps are created the same. And I've tried different brands, and to be honest with you, the Phoebeans is by far the best. So there's our piece, and now I'm going to go sew it on. And this is going to fold over. I'll bring it over here and show you after I get this piece sewed on so you can see how that's done. I'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, we got our stitches. We got it stitched, it's double stitched. Smash those stitches down some. Okay, it's double stitched, and for extra insurance, we are going to put 2 rivets in this. Okay, so we are going to rivet this. We've got a punch here. Now we're all the way through. And this is just extra reassurance. If you decided to wear this sheath every single day or something like that, you know, it's gonna need some extra guarantees here that nothing's gonna go nowhere. I actually need to bring my piece of granite over here. I've got my monitor set up on the granite there, and see if I can slide it over here and without too much trouble. So you can see it. These videos will get better. They're never going to have a bunch of editing because I just don't have time for all that. But this off. Okay, ear and frame. There's that. So this thing for setting these rivets like this gets domed like this. It's cupped in, and that's what you want. It's going to be flat on this side here because it's hitting against this. So that's it. That's our extra reinforcement, and then I am going to come over and fold that down. We're going to be just about like that, and then just so there's plenty of room for a belt to go in there. You don't want it too loose, you don't want it too tight. Sometimes they request and they want it for a gun belt, so then this has to have, you know, it needs to be 3 inches. So you got to kind of know what they're using it for, but I don't think he's using it for that. And this should accommodate, let's see, when that loop's done, it should accommodate about a 2-inch, up to a 2-inch belt. So, anyways, I'm going to go sew this and then I'll be right back. Okay, we're back and we have it sewed on now. We are probably going to put a couple of rivets in this just to, I might even put 3 of them in it, like that there. It probably doesn't need the rivets, or you could use just rivets and not sew it, but I tend to overbuild everything, and it's kind of part of my style, I guess. Blow my rivets away, I wouldn't quite done with them. All right, I think we're good on the video. It is a little easier to stay in frame when you're doing the leather work part over the napping, I think. The first video came out pretty good with not much effort of trying to stay in frame and all that, so. And you can use rivets as part of the style of, and then the final look of what you're doing as well, and if it fits that particular style. So the only way that thing's coming off now is, I mean, you'd have to wear through this 8-9 ounce leather and get it off there. So, all right, next step we need to do, so we got all this done. We've already got our piece cut, but before we can glue this in, we have to finish this top edge and this, because once this is folded over, it's going to be very difficult to do anything with that. And I'm not going to show all that because it's going to be the same thing that we do on the final edge finishing. So it's just going to be repetitive. So I'll finish these edges right here, and then I'll come back and then we'll put this piece in and finish assembling our sheath. We do have to put our snap in still. So, but I need to finish this first. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Let's see here. You don't need to be seeing me. I'm not familiar yet with the zoom and stuff in here. I've got another piece of or not another piece. I got a ring light coming. It's got its own stand. The stand's smaller than what I got a pretty big tripod, and it goes up about 8 feet high or something like that. It's just a big old tripod. And it's got an articulating arm that the phone goes on, but it has to be moved everywhere. And that articulating arm isn't very strong, and where the thing is, and if you over tighten it, it'll just strip them out. But anyways, I got a new setup coming up that I think may be easier to use in the leather shop, so we'll see. Now, I'm going to do some test fitting here, just to make sure that we're good. I guess I should have started down here. And that's it. I just want to make sure that everything's going to be okay as much as possible. So I got a lot of feedback from flint nappers that are watching the leather side too. So that's good. They enjoyed it. That's the point. I want you to come here and enjoy it and learn something, even if it's learning what not to do. I'm not saying this is the right way. I'm just saying this is the way that I do it. And that looks like it's going to fit pretty nice. And that's going to come around like that. I'm going to shorten this just a little bit. There's no way that can fall out of there like that, right? And the idea of the welt is the blade runs on the welt. So because if you didn't have a welt in here, it would just cut your stitches. So that's what that's all about. So the snap's going to be somewhere right in there. I need to push all the way through that. Hold on just a second. Okay. So to mark this, just shoving all the way through it, and then hopefully get a mark on there. If I can see it, I think it's right there. I believe that's it. I hope. That's hard for me to see, but it's right there. That's where we're going to put our snap. And you can double up the thickness of this if you want. Sometimes if it's a real, depending on the style of sheath, like on a well, I'll show you on a pancake style one. We'll do a pancake style one. I can show you that stuff because it's gonna be hard to explain it here. So anyways, so we're gonna punch a hole for our snap. And remember, we're going to be cutting this to length. Okay, so we have our snap pieces here. It looks like you guys can see it pretty good on this right here, so we'll probably do some working off of this in these videos so that you guys can see it better. But we want this on the outside. And here's the tool that you use for doing this. So it's domed. I think I had you in closer before. All right. So it's domed so that this fits right in here. And there's different sizes depending on the snap size. So you get down here, you'd be into like a glove snap or something. And this part is going to have the female. You're always pushing the female over the male. Here's our tool, and it just got a little nipple off the end there, and it just smashes that out there. Make sure it's held down flat. Okay. That just mushrooms it out in there. And then on the inside, here's the male part. It's just flat on the back. That's going to push through there like that. And then here's the other male end here. That's going to go flat against good hard surface like a piece of granite or an anvil. That's how that's going to go. And then that's going to snap like down on that like that right there and hold your knife in. And then I'm going to trim this off some. I have the tools in the shop laying over here and I can't find anything. I'm used to working at different stations and all the tools are set up there where they need to be and they're always in the same place. But I have to come up with a different system for this, I guess. Alright, so we'll refinish that end right there. That's going to come over like that. Alright, next step. Sandpaper. So I like to overbuild everything. But like painting or anything else, in order for your glue to have a for sure bond, you need to rough this up some. So this is like 120 or 80 grit, I don't know what it is, something like that. It's fairly rough. You just roughen that up. Your bond, when you sand it, is, I don't know how many times greater, but it's substantial. So makes a big difference. And don't forget, this side you don't have to sand because this is the rough side, right? Just knocking that shiny part off. Alright, we're going to get set back up here for the gluing part. Okay, we're back and we're going to do our gluing. I burnt the heck out of my finger. I guess it's this one right here, yeah. My dude's sore. I always got sore fingers. I always got cuts on them from flint knapping and stuff. So I don't bleed as much as I used to flint knapping, but I still bleed quite a bit. So I always have a sore fingertip or two. But I was making some. My I'm adding some flint and steel kits to the website, and I was playing around with some flint and steel, and I was making some char cloth. We're just gonna set this up on this just so it has a place to sit. Move this aside here. I was making some char cloth and I grabbed the wrong can. I thought the can, there was another can, make it in this little tin, and I was making that char cloth and I grabbed the wrong tin, and I grabbed the one that just came out of the fire. So yeah, that was smart. I'm going to be doing a video on making a flint and steel fire. So if you're interested in something like that, making fire, I'll be doing some other fire things. I'm going to have a whole section on the website. I got to go through the website. It's actually the flint napping website. It has nothing to do with leather, but I got to go through that and fix some things on there and get some things on there. And and some separate categories I noticed, because I got some nice, really super nice deer hides on there, and great for, like, you know, they're like glove tan deer hides, and they're just absolutely beautiful. And anyways, I don't even have a section for those, so unless people are just really digging through the website, they can't find them. So I got to make some sections for that, and there'll be a section for fire making, primitive fires, or I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's I need a whole day to go through that website to fix that. I got some things to fix on the leather website too. And if you're interested in which websites those are, my other shop website is DannyCollinsCustomLeather.com, and which is a mouthful, I know, but I had a theory behind that. But the flint napping website is flintnappingtraditions.com, so it's not quite as long. But when I was originally doing the leather website, this is just some kind of shop talk stuff here. But I thought, you know, it would be, although it has been a problem because the name's so long, so that's been a problem with some things. But having your name in there, when people contact you, they always contact you with your first name, and so you're already on a first name basis. They're not just contacting a random company. They don't know who's running it or anything else. But I don't know. It just makes it more personable, I think, was the theory behind it. But I don't know if it was or it wasn't. But it's worked for me, so can't complain. If you're interested in the, well, you guys are on, you'll be on the YouTube channel, but there's all kinds of stuff on there. There's going to be other stuff other than just leather and flint napping. There's going to be some hunting stuff on there. There's going to be some beekeeping stuff. This channel was originally done just as kind of a blog kind of thing, I guess. I don't really know what a blog is, but anyways, just kind of stuff I do in my life. But flint napping's kind of taking it over because I love doing that. But our main focus is going to be leather and flint napping. But we're gonna let this dry and I'll come back. Okay, we're back, and I am gonna try to get this stuck on there without messing it up, hopefully. And you want to do a really good job on your welt, and the reason is because this is what the knife blade is gonna run on, right? And if it gets to running beside it or something like that, it's really hard to cut through this glue once it's dry. So it adds a lot. You want to make sure it's good and attached good and everything's good, because the better that's attached, the longer the piece is going to last. I'll be right back. Okay, I had to go grab another piece of granite. I like to smash that with a with a hammer. And that's how she's gonna go. We obviously have to go stitch this and finish the edges, and we're gonna put some sealer on this rattlesnake. All that kind of good stuff, but she's coming together. All right, I'm gonna move you guys over to the sewing machine, and we're gonna go ahead and stitch this thing. Run a line around that thing, and that's where we're gonna stitch. All right. I'll take you over to the sewing machine. Okay, so we're over here at the sewing machine. The camera's not set up quite how I would like it to be, but I moved my stitching length out 2 clicks, which should be close. The thicker this piece is, the more you have to back it out. If you had to set for like sewing a wallet, I sew wallets and everything on this class 4, but if you had that set for sewing that, then you went to this, you would have some extremely short stitches. So we'll see. And the total thickness on this, I'm not sure how thick that is, but it is pretty thick. I ain't got a gauge. Well, maybe I do have a gauge. Hold on. Okay, so I don't have any gauge that'll go that thick, but I mean, that's a 1/2 inch. That's a full 1/2 inch right there. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's a full 1/2 inch thick. So I'm not sure how many ounces that is. All right. I may not follow that line exactly. Put my foot down. That popped off there, didn't it? Come on. Looks like the stitch length is going to be all right. And you can see I'm on the line, but I'm letting this little pressure foot run right on the edge of this right here. This little lip that's right here. That's where the pressure foot's riding. I suppose you guys can probably see that. Okay, I just backed it up a few stitches. Pull those tight and snip them off. This is going to be a killer sheath. Now you could put another rivet up here. I'm not going to, but you could. So, all right, we're going to go over and actually, what we're going to do next, we're going to finish these edges. So I'll take you over there. Okay, so this is going to be pretty loud. You might want, if you have your TV turned up, you might want to turn it down. If you have headphones on, you might want to mute it. So we're going to turn on some equipment here. So 1, 2, 3, go. camera again. Okay, we're moved again. Now, when this thing did shut off and I bumped the thing, so I'm going to have to piece these two pieces together. Hopefully the sound is going to be all right. So again, this is our closed radius beveler. And we sanded these edges on the belt sander and the other one. And if you're wondering about grits, I'm not sure what they are, to be honest with you. I think the one drum sander started out at 120. The things are pretty wore out, and the other one started at probably 80 grit, something like that. And we're going to do the same thing here that we did before. We sanded these. One of the keys to getting good edges is proper sanding. If you're not properly sanding it, you're never going to get a good edge. So we're just going to use water. There's no magic here. It's just now I do have this tool. Most of these won't do something this thick, so you end up having to go on the edge. But I've had this one. Friends made this for me. I wish he was still turning wood because I'd like to have a couple of extra ones, but he's not turning wood anymore. I tried to get someone else to make one, and instead of just making what I wanted to make, they wanted to argue about the design. So I gave up on it. I have to find someone else. But it's much deeper. I mean, it's much deeper. It got wider than that. But anyways, the ones like this that are super shallow, absolutely worthless. Let's see, we gotta finish the end of this too. And I'm just probably gonna make this just one video, just be a one long format video. So not gonna do it 2 parts. Okay, so we got the initial slicking done. Got a little glue on the edge, and that's kind of from rushing it along. Normally there would be a little bit of time in between all these steps because I'd be working on 10 different things. But the problem is with the videoing, I found that I can't work on other things. I just gotta work on that project, get it done, and move on. And I believe our next project, and this is just a small dauber, black dye, like I said before. If you're ordering something, you can have your choice edge color, as long as it's black or natural. All right, so that has got to dry, and then we're going to talk about the sealer. Now, you don't have to put any sealer on this. That's not a necessity, but I do. So. Not on all of them. If I remove all these scales, then I don't. But we're going to be sealing this one. And actually, we can talk about that now. I got black stuff all over me. I go out there, my hands look like this, and I go out there flint nap, and everyone goes, and it's got glue stuck to it, everything, and they go, man, that guy didn't even pick pin. But it's just because I work in a leather shop, and I don't normally wear gloves. I was in someone's leather shop a while back, and they had them little finger gloves. It looked like little finger condoms. Yeah. Actually, not a terrible idea, but oh, let's see here. Okay, so I went over this before, but you can seal this with any kind of acrylic. And this is just an Inlay acrylic. I've got a bunch of them up there. It doesn't matter which one you use. Just any good acrylic will work. But when I put this on, I just kind of flood it in there and let it run underneath those outer scales and around them, and it just kind of locks them in there. Now, if you run it down a barbed wire fence, then yeah, of course they're going to come off there. But anyways, that's how we're going to do the sealer. But we'll get to that in a minute. I'm going to let this dry so I'm not getting black all over me and all over the sheath. And then we'll finish the edge. Okay, so we're back. We're back to having our glycerin saddle soap. And all we're going to do is rub it in on there. And get going with the elbow grease. There's no magic solutions. There's none of that. Because you don't need it. So. And just wipe off the excess. I'm sure you guys can see that. That's a pretty decent commercial edge right there. Not too many. Pretty nice. Okay. Hopefully you guys seen that. That's how she's gonna look. I can't resist from putting a knife in them once in a while. It's gonna fit on the side just like this. Hangs down pretty low because I got this all the way at the top. So that's enough. That is just a smoker of a knife right there. Andy Elm. I think I can't read that for sure. But Andy something is the maker. That's his mark right here. And buddy, he did a good job. Look at the let me zoom you in here. I want you guys to see this knife. Look at the file work in the top of that knife. I mean, just stunning. And this twist on here, this guy really knocked it out of the park. That's an amazing. That's the best railroad spike type knife I think I've ever seen. Well, I've seen a bunch of them, and that one's a step above for sure. All right. So where are we at? So I'm going to go seal this. I'm not going to use acrylic. I'm going to use something else and a little bit faster to speed along, or maybe I will use acrylic. But I'm going to cut back in, and after this is sealed, and then show you the final thing, and we'll just close it out then. I'll be back in just a bit. Okay, well here we are. This is our sheet that we started with. I'll put this in there. So here's the one we started with, and this is the one we ended up with. I'd say that's a pretty major upgrade. Edges are nice. This is never going to go nowhere. It's just a well-built sheath. And it's got this rustic looking leather, which just goes really good with that snake skin and other skins too. Depending on what skin I'm using will change this. A lot of my customers, they just give me free reign. And I've got so many previous customers that order from me, that's been ordering from me for years and years and years. I get Got a bunch of people that they do all their gift shopping with me, it seems like. And I got rifle slings out there to in 4 different generations. But anyway, it's pretty neat. Pretty neat when your stuff's out there like that. But there's our sheath. Pretty cool. Yes, sir. That's nice. But a lot of customers just give me free rein to give me a general idea of what they want, and then that's it. Now I can take a real fine. Let me get it here. This edge isn't very steep, but I generally like to knock that little sharp part off, which is pretty minor detail, but this is still a little wet too. I was trying to decide what video I was going to shoot next, and I actually think I'm going to shoot I'm going to make a couple belts and do a video on that. Yeah, that's still very wet. It's not quite dry yet. So anyways, but and finish, when you put the acrylic over it and stuff, it really brightens up the colors on that, and it locks those scales in, and just pretty doggone cool. So yeah, there you go. There's our knife sheath. And if y'all haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please do. We did go over 1,000, but I'm gonna keep trying forging forward. So if you got anything out of this video, just please hit that like and subscribe button. That would be great. All right, appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Keep tooling.